Quotation from myself, segment 8. Quotation number 101. Immortality of the great men, and especially of the great philosophers, depends to a large extent on triviality of the ordinary ones. Number 102. We are all naked emperors, dressed in the clothes made of our opinions about ourselves. Number 103. Is one picture really worth 1,000 words? Certainly not if it is in a modern one, which is practically worthless and meaningless too, until 1,000 words are spent to describe and to explain it. Number 104. Everyone, whether he is fully aware of it or not, wants to be a Renaissance man. That is, to be able to do many different things as equally well as possible. It is probably because most of us, if not all, are never completely satisfied with ourselves, and justifiably so, since each one of us, at least in potentiality, is capable of much more. But the constraints of reality, which are so aptly expressed by such famous maxims as "you cannot be at two different places at the same time," or "between two stools, one goes to the ground," prevents us from actualizing our full potentials. We are always forced by life, one way or another, to make a choice, often against, but not necessarily so, our will, and therefore are never completely happy with it, even when the choice has been a good one. This basic conflict between potentiality and actualization persists through our lives and, even under the best circumstances, never gets resolved because of another fundamental conflict between the limited and the limitless. Number 015. Breaking other people's idols is not only a thankless, but a dangerous job, because people never forgive those who have done it to them. For their idols give them a sense of stability, the system of references, and the foundation of their behavior. The idols help them to make moral choices and relieve them from paralyzing hesitation and overwhelming uncertainty. Therefore, as a useful and prudent addition to the 10 Commandments, an 11th one could be introduced. Thou shalt not other people's idols, unless you know they are looking for the new ones, and also know where to find them. Number 106. Religion has always dealt with the unknown and unexplainable. In the beginning, there was darkness. The men were confronted by 1,000 whys. Why the sun and the moon? Why day and night? Why rain or drought, etc.? A religion has always provided the answer, because of God. But as the human knowledge grew, more and more whys have been answered, and those answers did not have God in them. Yet, at any given moment in human history, there were still some whys left unanswered. Also, as the old questions were being answered, the new ones would arise at the same time. And again, when man could not answer them, religion would offer the same explanation, because of God. Thus, as long as there is something unexplainable, it seems there will always be a place for religion to explain it as a work of God, and for science to prove that it is not. In this sense, religion and science can be viewed as rather complementary than contradictory, for both come from man needs to know, though each achieve it differently in its own particular way. Human mind, to paraphrase the famous expression, abhor the vacuum of ignorance. Man has to know and will use science where he can, and religion where science is powerless, to obtain this knowledge. Number 107. Any religion, simply stated, is a relationship between man and God or gods, whoever or whatever they may be. To be mutually satisfactory, these relations, like those between man and man, which they closely resemble, have to be also mutually beneficial. It is invariably achieved through some sort of barter. Man gives to God, God gives to man. Depending on what man offers in exchange for God's blessing, the religions could be roughly divided into two types: material and behavioral. In the material type of religion, man gives God mostly material things. For example, human, animal sacrifices, food, object of art, valuables, etc. In the behavioral type, man tries to live in a particular way he imagined would be pleasing to God. This type can also be called moralistic or spiritual, because of the heavy emphasis on the morally proper behavior and on the supremacy of spirit above matter. The majority, if not all, of ancient religions, which appear at the dawn of civilization, whose most prominent feature was extreme material scarcity, were naturally of the material type. But as the burden of a purely physical necessity was easing off due to the economic progress, other spiritual needs began to dominate man's mind, and eventually gave birth to modern religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all of which could be classified as a behavioral or moralistic. Another thing separating the ancient religion from modern ones is that the majority of the former were polytheistic, while the later are mainly monotheistic. The explanation of this difference lies perhaps in the fact that while man's material wants are many and varied, all our spiritual needs can be reduced to one: the longing for happiness. Number 108. Poetry and philosophy are similar. In a way, they both strive to reduce the overwhelming multiplicity of human experiences, emotions, to a few succinct and seemingly manageable thoughts and expression, bringing, as if by magic, the order of mind to the chaos of life. Number 109. One of the unintended, and to the best of my knowledge never mentioned byproducts of the invention of written language, must have been the dramatic increase, if not the introduction, of the freedom of speech. Anyone who has ever tried to speak up his mind in a group of people holding the views and ideas opposite to those of the speaker might appreciate the validity of this hypothesis, because having the opportunity to talk to a sheet of paper or for that matter to a roll of papyrus, clay tablets, etc., in private, releases one from the immediate and intimidating censorship of the crowd. It provides, at least potentially, the mean of the free expression by removing the fear of arousing displeasure, in extreme cases even retribution, of the angry opponents. Needless to say, this newly acquired intellectual freedom might have been largely responsible for the spectacular and unprecedented progress of science, philosophy, and art in 7th, especially in 6th century BC, which will always be regarded as one of the greatest periods in the history of civilization. Number 110. The fate of a man is to live simultaneously in two worlds, one real, another symbolic. And while we can, to a certain extent, control our relationship with the world of reality, in the world of symbols, which completely dominate us, we are powerless slaves. These two worlds seldom coexist peacefully. Most of the time, they are in a state of irreconcilable conflict, of which we ourselves are the first casualty. Number 111. Our parents are like a door separating us from death. When they die, the door is suddenly open, and we have to face our own mortality. Then it is our children who have to save us from death. They are part of us as we are part of them. As long as they live, at least something of us lives too. But if our children die, then this last illusion and reason for living dies with them too. Number 112. I have been told the truth, and I have been told the lie. And the lie is better. Number 113. I am the rule. The others are exceptions. Number 114. The means are not only justified by the ends, but create them too. Number 115. One and many are the opposites not only in abstract philosophical sense, but also in concrete social one. In the latter, this opposition is usually confrontational and antagonistic, because more often than not the interests of one are contrary to those of many. In the totalitarian state, the one is oppressive government, the many is the population at large, finding its unity in opposing the government as a common enemy, which gives to everybody, even to the most alienated, a sense of belonging. In the democratic society, ruled by consensus based on conformity, one is an individual oppressed by many, by the majority, which forces him to make a choice between being like everybody else or to face contempt and condemnation, indifference and rejection. As a result, in the democratic society, it is the individual who is either unable or unwilling to conform that become the common enemy. Consequently, being separated from his own community, such individual experiences the kind of total loneliness that is seldom seen in the totalitarian society.